Back in 2021, when I decided I wanted to become an accountant, I didn't really know what to expect. The media seems to portray accountants as these introverted people that spend a lot of time in spreadsheets and looking at numbers without really talking to people. But I can tell you from experience that it isn't really the case. So in this video, I'm just going to dive into some of the things that they possibly don't tell you about when you decide to become an accountant. If you're new to the channel, my name's Callum. I'm a chartered accountant here in London, UK, and I talk about all things accounting to help you future-proof your career, stand out, and stay ahead of the profession. So if that sounds of interest to you, I'd really appreciate a subscribe, and let's dive right into the first secret. And that's that dealing with people is a huge part of the job. Now, don't get me wrong, as an accountant, you are obviously going to spend a lot of time in Excel, in spreadsheets, and actually analyzing the numbers. But don't underestimate the amount of time you are going to spend emailing clients, on phone calls, on meetings, actually speaking to people. And much of this will be about boiling down these possibly complex accounting topics and accounting areas into simple, understandable facts that non-finance and non-accountant people can actually understand. There's huge value in being able to turn these complex accounting areas into simple concepts, because you've got to remember that not everyone is an accountant and not everyone is trained in accounting and actually understands the language of accounting. You'll also find that as you start to get higher up in the accounting ladder, particularly in public accounting, a lot of your time is going to be spent on managing projects, on speaking to clients, and leading teams ultimately, rather than getting involved in the nitty-gritty actual accounting and technical work that you might be doing in your junior days. So being a good communicator and having the ability to deal with people is obviously a huge part of the job that you can't overlook. After all, if you're an accountant in public accounting, then you are predominantly client-facing as it is anyway. And this is going to bring its own challenges. My next secret is that the learning curve is probably going to be steeper than you expect. I like to see accounting as learning a new language. And sometimes when you see two senior accountants having a conversation, it can feel very foreign and quite hard to understand exactly what it is they're talking about. It's simply because there's so many technical terms in accounting that you need to get your head around. And oftentimes when you're new, this can be quite intimidating. You need to just expect this for your first few years and remember that it's okay not to know everything. You just need to be willing to understand concepts, ask questions, and really listen when you're getting an answer. My third secret is that the qualification is everything, but be prepared to work hard for it. Now, I'd recommend everyone who is an accountant or wants to be an accountant to pursue a professional qualification, whether that's a chartered qualification like the ACA or the ACCA, or that's a more specific qualification like a management accountant or the ATTT for tax. There's something about having a professional qualification that just shows clients and shows co-workers that you really know what you're talking about. See it as a stamp of approval, and when you have it, you gain a level of respect from others, which is a nice feeling. Not to mention the salary jump that tends to happen when you do qualify. But just remember that there's an awful lot of hard work that's got to go into this qualification, particularly as you're going to be working a full-time job alongside pursuing the professional qualification. For context, I sat the ACA qualification, which has 15 exams spread over a 3-year period. And in the months coming up to the exams, which was pretty much all year round for the 3 years, I put in a lot of hours over the weekend, also before and after work, studying, doing questions, reviewing answers, and really trying to get my head around the concepts. Thankfully, I have a super supportive partner that I live with, and she helped me out a lot over those 3 years. So I recommend finding a support group, whether that be co-workers at work, a partner, or your parents, who can just give you that added motivation and that added comfort when you are sitting these exams, because it's really not an easy thing to do. But I have to say that it's so worth it. So put your head down, get to the other side, and you'll thank yourself later. My fourth secret is that job security is strong, but it's not always the most exciting on a day-to-day basis. One of the good things about being an accountant, particularly with a professional qualification, is that you're probably not going to struggle to find a job. That's just a reward for the hours and years of hard work that you put into studying the professional qualification and training to begin with. But the day to day work may not always be the most exciting, particularly in industry and business, where I've spoke to some accountants who find the routine and nature of a month end fairly repetitive. However, I have spoke to other accountants in the industry who seem to love this and really enjoy the routine. And one of the good things about accounting is you can pick the area that suits your personality type best. If you do actually prefer the technical work and staying in the spreadsheets and not really having to manage people, then a management accountant in industry or business may be best suited for you. But if you're like me and you enjoy the client communication, managing projects and leading teams, then public accounting may be your best bet. So if the excitement isn't there for you, it may be worth just having a look around and seeing what else is out there. Because with accounting, there's so many different areas and industries you can get into that I'm sure one is going to suit your needs best. My fifth and final secret is that you can be in a job for years, but still feel unsure at times. Now, working in public accounting where every client is different exposes you to so many different areas of accounting. I've worked with video games developers, hotels, fintech, artificial intelligence software, and many, many more. And I can tell you that each one of these is extremely different. Each business has different revenue streams and different costs, different operations and controls, different structures of teams, and just different ways of doing things that make it more complicated to audit or prepare the accounts for. This variety makes things exciting, but it can add a layer of complexity because you need to make sure you understand the industry that you're going to prepare the accounts for or be auditing. Now, as an accountant, this is why CPD or continual professional development plays such a vital role, and it's something you're going to find that you spend a lot of your weeks and months actually doing. Because accounting standards and tax rates and changes are always occurring, so you need to keep your skills up to date and stay on top of everything. So there we have it, 5 things that they probably don't tell you about before deciding to become an accountant. I hope you found that video interesting. If you want to learn more about accounting and find out more about the profession, then subscribe to the channel because I'm dropping weekly content on just this. And with that, I'll see you in next week's video.